What happens when the medicine meant to heal you becomes the weapon meant to kill you? Welcome to Sherlock Mode. It was a peaceful morning in Chicago, September 29, 1982. Families were starting their day, children getting ready for school, parents preparing for work. The autumn air was crisp and full of promise. Nobody could imagine that this ordinary day would become one of the most terrifying moments in American history. A day when trust itself would be murdered. 12-year-old Mary Kellerman woke up feeling unwell. Her head was pounding. Her loving parents, worried about their daughter, did what any caring parent would do. They gave her a simple pain reliever, extra-strength Tylenol, the same medicine millions of Americans trusted every day. Mary swallowed the capsule and waited for relief. But relief never came. Instead, something horrifying began to happen. Within minutes, Mary started having trouble breathing. Her body began to shake violently. Her parents watched in terror as their healthy daughter collapsed to the floor. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. Mary Kellerman was dead. The doctors were puzzled. How could a healthy 12-year-old die so suddenly? They had no idea that this was just the beginning of a nightmare that would grip the entire nation. Miles away in another Chicago suburb, Adam Janis was getting ready for his day as a postal worker. Like Mary, Adam was feeling some pain and decided to take a Tylenol capsule. Just like Mary, he swallowed the medicine and waited. And just like Mary, relief never came. Adam collapsed at his home. His family rushed him to the hospital, but he died before doctors could understand what happened. The Janis family was in shock. How could their strong, healthy Adam just die like that? But the horror was far from over. Later that evening, Adam's brother Stanley and his wife Teresa came to the house to comfort the family. The stress of losing Adam had given them both headaches. They saw the same bottle of Tylenol that Adam had used. Without thinking twice, they each took a capsule from the same bottle. Within hours, both Stanley and Teresa were dead. 3 members of the same family, gone in one day, all from the same bottle of medicine. This was when investigators realized something was terribly, terribly wrong. But the killer was not done yet. Mary Reiner, a young mother who had just given birth to her 4th child, took a Tylenol capsule for pain. Her 8-year-old daughter Michelle watched in horror as her mother fell to the floor, having violent convulsions. Mary died, leaving behind 4 small children. Paula Prince, a flight attendant for United Airlines, came home from a long day of work. She was tired and had a headache. She reached for her trusted Tylenol. When her friend could not reach her by phone, she went to check on Paula. She found Paula dead in her apartment. Mary McFarland, who worked for the telephone company, also took a Tylenol capsule for pain relief. She became the 7th and final victim of what would become known as the Tylenol murders. 7 innocent people, all killed by the medicine they trusted to help them. When investigators tested the Tylenol capsules from each victim's home, they made a shocking discovery. Every single capsule contained deadly cyanide poison. Someone had replaced the healing medicine with a killer poison. But who? And how? The investigation revealed something even more frightening. The poison bottles came from different factories and different stores across Chicago. This meant the killer had not poisoned the medicine during production. Instead, someone had bought bottles from stores, taken them home, opened each capsule, emptied out the medicine, filled them with cyanide, and then returned the bottles to store shelves. Think about how evil this plan was. The killer had no idea who would buy these bottles. They did not know if it would be a young girl like Mary, a hard-working man like Adam, or a new mother like Mary Reiner. The killer simply did not care. They were willing to murder complete strangers. The news of the poisoned Tylenol spread like wildfire across America. People were terrified. If medicine could not be trusted, what could be? Johnson & Johnson, the company that made Tylenol, immediately recalled every single bottle from every store in America. Over 31 million bottles were pulled from shelves. Police cars drove through neighborhoods with loudspeakers warning people not to take any Tylenol. Volunteers went door to door checking medicine cabinets. Hospitals were flooded with people who thought they might have been poisoned. The entire country was in panic. But then, something unexpected happened. A letter arrived at Johnson & Johnson headquarters. The letter was from a man named James William Lewis. In the letter, Lewis claimed he was the Tylenol killer. He demanded $1 million to stop the poisonings. He signed the letter with a chilling threat. The FBI immediately began hunting for James Lewis. When they found him, he was living in New York with his wife. He had no connection to Chicago, no reason to be there, no way to place the poison bottles on the shelves. But he had written the extortion letter, and that was a serious crime. Lewis was arrested and sent to prison for extortion, not murder. He spent 13 years behind bars. But here is the strange part. Lewis always claimed he was innocent of the murders. He said he only wrote the letter to get money, but he never actually poisoned anyone. For over 40 years, investigators have tried to solve this case. They have tested evidence with the most advanced technology. They have interviewed hundreds of people. They have followed thousands of leads. But the Tylenol killer has never been caught. Some investigators believe the killer might have been someone with access to cyanide. Perhaps someone who worked in a place where cyanide was used, like a photography lab or jewelry cleaning business. Cyanide was more easily available in 1982 than it is today. Others think the killer might have been someone seeking revenge against Johnson & Johnson or someone who wanted to destroy the Tylenol brand. The murders certainly hurt the company financially, causing them to lose millions of dollars. There is also a theory that the poisoning might have happened at the factory level. Some investigators found traces of cyanide in Johnson & Johnson facilities. They wonder if an employee at the factory could have contaminated the capsules during production. But Johnson & Johnson has always denied this possibility. They point out that the poison bottles came from different factories, making factory contamination unlikely. The company has never been charged with any wrongdoing in connection to the murders. The Tylenol murders changed America forever. Before 1982, medicine bottles had simple caps that anyone could open. After the murders, Congress passed the Federal Anti-Tampering Act. Now, all medicine must have special seals that show if someone has opened the package. Medicine companies also stopped making capsules that could be easily opened and closed. Instead, they created solid tablets that look like capsules but cannot be taken apart and refilled with poison. These changes have prevented similar attacks for over 40 years. The fear created by the Tylenol murders even changed Halloween. Parents became worried that someone might give poison candy to trick-or-treaters. Even though no Halloween candy poisoning has ever been proven, the fear continues to this day. In 2025, a new Netflix documentary called Cold Case: The Tylenol Murders brought fresh attention to the case. The documentary featured interviews with family members of the victims, investigators, and even James Lewis himself. But it still could not answer the big question: who really did it? Mary Kellerman's family still mourns their 12-year-old daughter. Michelle Rosen, who watched her mother Mary Reiner die, is now an adult with children of her own. The families of all 7 victims continue to hope that someday they will get answers. The case files remain open. The FBI still considers this an active investigation. They continue to follow new leads and test evidence with modern technology. DNA testing, which did not exist in 1982, might someday provide the answer. But time is running out. If the killer was an adult in 1982, they would be very old now, possibly even dead. Some evidence has been lost or destroyed over the years. The longer the case remains unsolved, the harder it becomes to find the truth. Let us analyze this mystery like Sherlock Holmes would. What clues do we have? First, the killer knew how to obtain cyanide, which was not easy for ordinary people. Second, they knew how to open and close capsules without leaving obvious signs. Third, they were familiar with the Chicago area and knew which stores to target. The killer also had to be extremely careful and patient. They had to buy multiple bottles, take them home, poison them, and return them to stores without being seen or remembered. This suggests someone who was organized and possibly had experience with detailed work. Who could fit this profile? Perhaps a disgruntled employee of a company that used cyanide. Maybe someone in the photography business, since photographers used cyanide to develop pictures. Or possibly someone in the jewelry business, since cyanide was used to clean gold. Another possibility is someone with a personal grudge against Tylenol or Johnson & Johnson. Perhaps a former employee who was fired, or someone who blamed the company for a medical problem. The financial damage to the company was severe, which might have been the killer's goal. Could James Lewis actually be innocent, as he claims? It's possible that someone else committed the murders, and Lewis simply saw an opportunity to make money by pretending to be the killer. His extortion letter might have been a cruel coincidence, not a confession. The most chilling possibility is that the killer was a random psychopath who simply wanted to cause terror and death. Someone who enjoyed the idea of killing strangers without any personal motive. This type of killer would be the hardest to catch because they have no logical reason for their actions. If the killer is still alive, they have kept their secret for over 40 years. They have watched the pain of the victims' families. They have seen the changes in society caused by their actions. Yet they have never confessed or been caught. This suggests either remarkable self-control or complete lack of conscience. The evidence that might solve this case could still exist somewhere. A witness who saw someone acting suspiciously in a store. A piece of physical evidence that has not been properly tested. A deathbed confession from the killer, or someone who knows the truth. Modern technology continues to advance. DNA testing becomes more sensitive each year. Security cameras, which barely existed in 1982, now record everything. If these murders happen today, the killer would almost certainly be caught within days. But the Tylenol murders remind us that evil can strike anywhere, anytime. They show us that trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. They prove that sometimes, even the most careful investigation cannot solve every mystery. The 7 victims of the Tylenol murders were ordinary people living ordinary lives. Mary Kellerman was just starting hers. Adam Janis was serving his community. Mary Reiner was caring for her children. They all died because they trusted that their medicine was safe. Their deaths were not in vain if they prevent future tragedies. The safety measures created after the Tylenol murders have saved countless lives. Every time you open a medicine bottle and see that safety seal, remember the 7 people who died so that others might live safely. Somewhere, the truth about the Tylenol murders still exists. Whether in the mind of the killer, in a piece of evidence not yet found, or in the memory of a witness who has not yet spoken. Until that truth emerges, this case will remain one of America's most frightening unsolved mysteries. The Tylenol killer changed the world with 7 small capsules filled with poison instead of medicine. They turned trust into fear, healing into death, and ordinary stores into crime scenes. They created a mystery that has lasted longer than some of the victims had lived. Today, more than 40 years later, investigators still hope for a breakthrough. The families still seek justice. And somewhere, the answer to who killed 7 innocent people with poisoned Tylenol remains hidden in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery, like and subscribe to Sherlock Mode.